Welcome to the second video in the Learning the Streets channel. This one is going to be on observation and what to do before you even start talking to young people when you meet them on the streets. It's one of the main things that people ask me about when I do the training for them is what do you say to young people? And I say to them, well, have you spent time getting to know the area first and getting to know what's going on? So this one is all about observation and getting used to the community and being part of it. For me, part one of observation is getting acclimatised to the local area. So decide where your patch is, what area it is, whether you're going to go down the streets, whether there's parks, skate parks, where the kind of areas are that young people are likely to be. It's a really good idea to map that all out and then acclimatise to that area. So that means just being out and about when it's dark, being out and about when there might even be young people around, being out and about where it could be quite busy and getting used to being there. So like right now it's pretty quiet, but as you can hear, there's a dog barking, there's a few cars around, there's a few buses around. It's about 6:30 in the evening, so there's kind of stuff happening, but you're just getting used to being out and about in the area. And most of the time, half the fear of going out to talk to young people is that we're not even used to being out and about on the streets in the evening. Maybe those of you that have got dogs will be used to it. Those of you that go out and go and get a pint of milk at the garage in the evening, but pretty much the rest of us stay indoors and watch telly or go out in our cars. So actually to be out and about walking feels a bit weird in the evening, and therefore we get a little bit worried. So acclimatising is a really big thing, just getting used to being out and about. So that's the first point, is acclimatisation, because we need to be aware most of the time that the young people we're going to see usually spend more time out in the evenings than we do. They're much more used to being here than we are. It's much more their kind of space, so we need to get used to it. We need to be aware of what it feels like. All the places that seem a bit dark, all the places that are a bit dingy, all the places that we might think are a bit weird and be wary of, we just need to get used to them and get used to walking in them and not be so worried about them and not be so kind of, maybe not frightened, but just a little bit wary. It's understandable, but it's the kind of thing we need to just be aware of. And like now, I just walked down a cul-de-sac. It's a bit weird, but you won't really want to do that when you're walking and talking with young people. Acclimatising to the local area means getting used to all the dark places, like I just said. I'm about to walk up a little bit, it's really dark, it will go dark behind me and you won't be able to see me. I took a photo of it earlier when it was light, and it's quite a nice country walk, but now it starts to get really dark, and I wouldn't really want to suggest that you meet young people in a space down here, but it is. And of course, not everywhere in the evening is dark. I find this tunnel is pretty well lit, quite safe, going to be quite warm in here, at least it keeps the rain off. So this is going to be an area where young people are likely to be, or at least it could be, and you can see by some of the graffiti here that it's maybe where young people have been before. So in terms of acclimatising, you kind of walk from somewhere light like this, and then it starts to get dark again, and it feels different. It feels very kind of uncomfortable to go from the light spaces to the dark spaces, especially when you're walking around in the evenings on detached. One of the questions that people sometimes ask me is how long should you acclimatise before you then start talking to young people? Well, it's kind of like the length of a piece of string sometimes. I don't think you ever stop acclimatising, I don't think you ever stop doing research. See, now it's got really dark. But what it does mean is that you're prepared for when you do meet young people, and you get a little bit of knowledge about the area that you're going to speak to them in, because they know it better than you do. They've probably lived there. You might live there too, but the way you encounter it and that you engage with it is going to be a bit different to how they do. So it's a really good idea to do the acclimatisation well. Get yourself used to it. Get used to, maybe never used to completely all the uncomfortable spots, because they were meant to be uncomfortable. It's meant to be a difficult spot, meant to be a difficult place. It is dark, after all. But in terms of longevity, we know there's projects who do, months and months and months of acclimatisation and research before they even speak to young people. It's really important to do some though. I mean, there's projects that I've worked in when they said that there was lots of young people out and about, and after 6 months of me walking around I didn't see any of them. So it's important to keep that research up to date, keep being aware of what's going on in the local area, because, well, often we can be responding to when the police send us hotspots or there's crime or there's issues in a certain area, and the only recreation or research that we do is to do 3 minutes on Google and to see what's been going on in the local schools or in the newspaper. One of the best detached youth work projects that was done in the last 50 years, they spent nearly 2 years doing research and acclimatisation, but that's probably not something that we can afford nowadays. The luxury of doing that, it's almost as though we're into social control rather than social agency of young people. Actually, we just want to take them off the streets and control them, and that's what detached maybe has been reduced to. So why bother doing all the research and getting used to the area if it's just to kind of get out your car, find a load of young people and give them something to do? So maybe detached has changed. Maybe it's not necessarily changed for the better. Maybe by doing the research, by getting to know your local area, we're saying something different to young people, that actually we're going to invest in this time, invest in the community, invest in the space and the context, so that we can understand a little bit of what life is like for you while you're on the street. So are we. It's not about brownie points, it's never about brownie points, but maybe it does say something that we're not just going to pile out the back of a van and trying to escort young people into doing something different. So you're out and about, you're walking around, what you're actually looking for. So that could be a whole host of things. One of the things I think is really important is that you find out how people interact with each other. So whether adults are interacting with young people, whether there's people at the shops that are open, whether buses, what time the buses are running to, who's going where, what's going on, what kind of travel's going on, what kind of activity the pubs or clubs, anything like that. The off licence, what time does that open till, and what goes on after 9 o'clock. So that could be some of the things that you're looking for. It's important to understand how the different people think about who else is around. Dog walkers, police maybe, who else could be around? People waiting for the bus, late night shift workers. If you're in a city centre, could have other people around out and about, advertising, nightclubs, that kind of thing. In a rural area, small community, maybe not see that many people, to be honest. The odd dog walker, of course there's people who might be running. Very few people walk on their own, but you never know, you could get the odd 1 or 2 people. Summer nights, very different. We have couples will be out and about, maybe, that kind of thing. But largely dog walkers, runners, people going to go to the shops. That's about it really. So young people are pretty much on their own as to being the people who are out probably the most regularly. It's probably why they're there, because the space is theirs. Bit of freedom, no one to kind of keep an eye on them, and maybe that's the kind of issue we need to think about when we're walking around ourselves. When we've got the intention of talking to young people, maybe we should give young people a bit more space. Maybe we don't need to react all the time. Maybe as we're walking around and observing, we see young people playing at the play park, and that's perfectly okay. Maybe we have a responsibility to have a conversation with them, but do we need to do much else? I don't know. Maybe that's up to the people who are concerned about their behaviour. So and then going on from that, when we do walk around the streets and get ourselves acclimatised, we need to bear in mind the seasons. Right now it's cold, it's freezing, it's probably not going to be many people out at all, but that may be different in the spring, in the summer, maybe even in the autumn. We all know the special times of the year where there's more people likely to be out and about. Halloween, bonfire night, summer nights, that kind of thing. But are those people young people on their own? It's hard to tell. Family nights, family occasions, are very difficult, challenging times to actually spend time talking with young people. So the season thing is a thing to bear in mind then when it comes to getting acclimatised to the area. Is there a best time to get acclimatised? Well, if you want to get used to the dark nights and the cold, then come out in January or February. Get yourself out and about, walk around as a team, and then all that preparation's good for when it starts to get warm again, or starts to get warm at all and a bit lighter in the back end of February and March. So maybe it is a good time in the winter to be out and about, but you won't want to be out too long because it gets cold. So if acclimatisation is one aspect of observation, the other is data, the other is numbers. You just want to find out what's going on. So it's about identifying where the groups of young people are. It's identifying the spot in the spaces. Is it the cul-de-sacs? Is it the park, skate park, that kind of thing? Even trying to identify who the people are that are out and about. And it's not just the numbers of young people, but who, what age are they, how old are they, do you know them already, what time are they out, is it after school, it's like 4 or 5 o'clock, is it in the evening, 7, 8, 9, 10, large groups, small groups, female, male, is there certain activities that they do, are there certain ways that you think they gather together just maybe one night a week, or is it the same night every week, is it every night every week, who knows? But that's part of getting out and about to understand what's going on. Half the time we set up starting to do detached work because of a rumour or information we had about a year ago. Getting out and about means that we start to know the reality of that. So, a few tips in terms of helping you do observation. 1, go and grab a pint of milk every now and then in the evenings. 2, with the team that you're going to be working with, go out on the times you're going to end up doing detached on. 3, go and get late night chocolate bar from the Asda, maybe borrow somebody's dog to walk. All these kind of things help you get used to being out and about in the evenings. One thing that doesn't really help is walking around talking to a camera all evening, but you never know. Maybe that's what you need to do, is to film the local area as to what's going on. But yeah, that's observation, really important part of detached work, and you never stop doing it, you never stop researching, you never stop trying to work out what's going on in the local area. It's always what you're doing, even when you're talking with young people, new information you get all the time, and it's a really, really important aspect of your work.